Let's give a warm Smallville welcome to Heather.
Hi. Thanks, bud.
Absolutely. I'm going to go make a wild guess here that this is probably your first time in Hutchinson.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. And you were telling me this is kind of your first year on the tour circuit.
This is also correct. I am historically a very introverted person, and as I've gotten older, I've come out of my shell a wee bit more, and it's been a beautiful experience.
I gotta imagine that's probably challenging to be an actress and be an introvert.
Oh, I think it lines up well. I mean, if you tell me what to say and tell me where to stand, and I can play whoever you want me to play. It's playing myself, which is the most exhilarating / most challenging role I've had to date.
Okay. I think we all struggle with that role in our lives.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, I try to do a little research. I can't claim to be 100% here, but looking at your IMDb page, it looked like you started acting with credits around age 11 or 12, but my guess is you were probably doing stuff before that.
My first role that I ever did was when I was 7 years old, an NYU short film, and then did a few episodes of Pete and Pete when I was 8 or 9. Yeah, I've been at this a long time.
Yeah. Now, you had a breakout role, your first film, Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Thank you.
That was just like a huge overnight success, and it catapulted you to fame right away. How did you handle that?
Well, I'm still here, and there's not a lot of tabloid stories about me. Thank Jesus. You know, I think that fame in and of itself is a maniacal beast if you don't have people around you that center you and keep you grounded. And I'm grateful that I had that and have had that consistently in my life. And I'm grateful that I can still pretty much walk anywhere anonymously, and that people know me for my work and not my antics.
Sure.
You know?
Do you get recognized, Annie?
I do. I do, which is partially why I don't leave the house a lot. I'm just kidding. I do, and I live in Los Angeles, so it's we're all a dime a dozen out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Can't go very far without finding a net.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, but I'm very grateful for the platform that I have, and it's a privilege that I get to do what I love, and that I've gotten to do it consistently for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm. All right. You've done feature films, you've done TV work.
Mm-hmm.
With your TV work, you've been a series regular on some shows, and then you've done guest appearances on some shows. Being a series regular gives you that regular paycheck,
That is correct.
but being a guest appearance gives you the chance to get in, do the job, and then move on to the next one. Do you have a preference?
Oh gosh, I mean, for me, whether it's 1 day or 1 month or 6 months or a year, if it's a project that I find compelling, if the people that are working on the project inspire me, it doesn't really matter. I think that with the guest star stuff, it can be, I've been very, very grateful and fortunate that I haven't run into any actors or cast members that have treated me coldly when I've come on for an episode or two. And so, yeah, if the work it excites me, that's all I care about, really.
Sure. Looking at your resume, you did an episode of ER.
I sure
early
did.
on. I've got to ask, just how dreamy is Clooney?
Oh, he's just adorable. We actually played basketball together. There's like a basketball court on the Warner Brothers soundstage where we were, and I think that they had just finished the Batman and Robin, or they were about to start. So, I mean, yeah, he's just an adorable, gregarious, suave fellow.
And that whole cast, I mean, it was...
I mean, Juliana Margulies, Noah Wiley, Anthony Edwards.
Eric LaSalle.
Yeah, the list goes on.
Okay, all right. In 2000, you joined the Scream franchise.
I sure did.
And I find Scream interesting because you've got a core group of actors that are going to be in every movie. Then you've got those actors that come in and out of the movies, and generally they go out because their character has been killed off. And so then they're replaced by someone. You came in with the third movie, you were filling roles that were done previously by other actors. Is that hard to join that type of cast, or was it?
I mean,
was it just another job?
I mean, it's the same thing with guest stars, right? It's anytime you go into a situation, and I think this is universal. You know, like if you're the new kid at school, I never assume that I'm automatically going to be welcomed by anybody with open arms, you know, and I think that when you have someone like Mr. Craven who makes those decisions, and he had been working with Nev and Courtney and David, I mean, since the iteration of Scream, that there's a natural trust that's built where it's, oh, well, if Wes is saying that these are the people that he wants in this movie, we're going to trust that these are the people that are going to be able to get the job done, and that there will be good chemistry. And then when I came back for 5, you know, working with David again was an absolute dream, you know, and I didn't get to see Courtney or Nev until we had a private screening, because we were supposed to have the premiere, but then we were at the height of COVID, so they had to cancel it. But it's a pleasure. I get to fucking do some awesome, incredible things. You know what I mean? I'm just lucky that I get to be here.
Okay, all right. Princess Diaries, I think, is probably your most recognized work, do you think?
I think I have a community that's as eclectic and eccentric as I am. So there are people that have never seen Princess Diaries that love Welcome to the Dollhouse, or Hostel 2, or Scream. And then there are people that love Princess Diaries that have never seen any of my other work. You know, so
My
it really
daughter being
varies.
one of them.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
And I mean, once it hit the Disney Channel, it feels like it's been playing on a Disney Channel once a week at least for 20 years now.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be 25 years.
Yeah. And then
Rise softly into my soup.
when I was researching and rewatching the movie earlier this week, and I think that was Anne Hathaway's first major film.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the two of you were born just like 2 days apart.
That's right.
So, but at that point, you had already been acting and doing a lot of different projects. Were you able to be like a mentor to her in any way? Or?
I mean, Annie and I would show up at auditions in Manhattan. So
Yep, I think we're going to change mics here.
Let's try this one. For some reason, we have issues with that one.
Thank you. So Annie and I had, we had friendly back and forth and whatnot, and I think maybe Ella Enchanted, she might have done Ella Enchanted before she did Princess Diaries. But I was, what is the truth? I really thought that I was Slick Rick back then. Like indie, filterless cigarettes and wearing all black and, thought I was like the female Brando. And Annie is just kind and soft and sweet. And I definitely think that she smoothed out some of my rough edges. And she didn't need any help from me. I mean, she's brilliant at what she does. Obviously, she's gone on to have an incredible, incredible career. And I think that Gary saw between us that we just had an electric connection that you could feel. And so it was, from day one, just off the jump, incredibly, incredibly easy to collaborate with her and work with her.
You mentioned director Gary Marshall. How entertaining or how good was it to work with Gary? It seems like was a very kind of undervalued director, and I don't think people realize just how good he was at what he did.
I mean, I think that the people that recognized and knew how good enough people recognized it in the space that he was working with the same cast, the same crew, the same cast. Like he cast Hector Elizondo in almost everything, Laurie Metcalf in a lot, but same crew for God knows how long. I mean, I think pretty much since he started. And he's the kind of gentleman that it's all about family. Family comes first, and he also loves to throw a party. So when we were shooting the first Princess Diaries, we started shooting in September, and we were going through Thanksgiving. And, he would stop work like in the afternoon on Halloween, and he would invite the families of all of the crew and cast members, and we had a pumpkin carving contest. When we were getting ready for Thanksgiving and we were working, he stopped work early one day, I think around lunchtime, and had an impromptu Thanksgiving Day parade where he played Santa Claus at the end. Like, that is the kind of individual that is a rare breed that doesn't come around very often. And I think out of all of the directors I've worked with, and I've worked with some great ones, he is by far and away my number one. And he's also part of the Scorpio Club, because my birthday's the 10th, Annie's is the 12th, and his was the 13th.
I'm the 18th.
Oh, hello, fellow Scorpio. Hello.
You joined the Hostel franchise with...
Sure did.
And that seems like a change of pace compared to the other movies that you've been doing.
Well, variety is the spice of life.
Sure. And that's exactly my question. I mean, what do you look for in a project when you say, hey, I want to do this movie, or I want to do this TV show? Is it how much screen time you're going to get? Is it the challenges of the role? Is it the paycheck? I mean, what drives you?
I mean, I think that I'm not one of those actors that counts my lines. I mean, Dame Judi Dench won an Academy Award for 12 minutes of screen time for Shakespeare in Love. You can be in one scene and completely, like, that it's memorable. you know, and with Hostel 2 specifically, it was Quentin. Like, Quentin Tarantino was going to be producing it. And I'd always wanted to work with Quentin. And then that death scene, you know, for me, I love getting to be challenged as an actor, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And knowing that, challenging myself to see if I could do it, and very happily getting to see that I could. I trained for 2 months hanging upside down on an inversion machine and got up to about 20-25 minutes. And that I was very proud of myself for that. You know, but in general, it's that thing of, if the money, if like, money is secondary to me, and I say this as somebody that is a working actor that doesn't own a home, that rents an apartment in Los Angeles, you know, has like a beat up 2017 Kia Soul. The money, obviously, it's. I think that every single person deserves a living wage, period. I don't care if you were a bus driver, a janitor, an actor, you know, a grip, a line cook. Everyone deserves a living wage. And most of, and the thing that most people don't know is that we don't get paid a lot. And that if we're getting maybe 1 or 2 movies a year, that has to sustain us. And, you know, especially the way it is now, and that's why the WGA is on strike right now. The Writers Guild of America is white SAG. Screen Actors Guild, which is the union that I'm a part of, is most likely going to be striking. Because when you're working 18-hour days, and you're working for months, and you can barely afford to pay your rent, while the company that you are working for is raking in billions of dollars, you know.
And the last contract was done before the advent of streaming.
I mean, and that's what led us to the last writer's strike in 06 and 07. That's when we started to have reality TV. You know, because they're always looking for a way to make a quick buck. But really, genuinely, I find that when I invest in myself and I invest in the work, it always pays off tenfold. You know, so. Yeah, for me, it really just is about the story, about the other people that are working on the project, and how far I think I can go as an actor in whatever project I'm presented with.
There was one project on your resume that I didn't find out a lot about, but I'm very curious about, and that's the Avant-Gardener.
Oh, yes.
In addition to being in it, you helped produce it, you had
and I directed,
writing credit. Tell me about this, because I couldn't even find it on a streaming service.
It was a friend of mine, Lindsay Catt, that I knew from my New York days, and she was putting together a visual album. And this was before Beyonce had Lemonade. It was like the first of its kind. And she asked me if I wanted to direct a segment of it and write a segment of it. And I said, absolutely. And, you know, I go where the opportunities are. And it was the first time I had been given an opportunity to direct. And I absolutely loved it. And it placed in some festivals. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. I don't even think I have a copy. You know, but for me, again, it's I love being an artist. You know, I love being an artist, and I love being a storyteller, and I love all that goes into storytelling. And you can say so much with just a simple tracking shot, or just holding on an actor for one more beat than you thought you would. It's such a collaborative medium, because at the end of the day, none of us know what the fuck we're doing. You know, we're hoping that it's gonna work, we're hoping it's gonna turn out well, but there's no such thing as a guarantee. You know, so I look at it as just a lot of opportunities to grow as a person, as a artist, and a collaborator.
Okay, all right. I know you've been at your table for a while today. You've got to have a lot of people come by, get to meet them. You've signed some autographs, taken some pictures. But Smallville, every year, brings out the great questions. So I'm going to go out there and see if we can get some questions from the audience.
Sounds beautiful to me.
We'll go from there.
Okay.
All right, who has a question for Heather? If you'll raise your hand, I'll bring the mic to you.
Thank you. Your death scene in Hostel 2 was quite spectacular. How long did it take to get that filmed?
We shot that, thank you, hi. We shot that over the course of 2 days. So they would keep me up there for like 20, 25 minutes at a time. Then I'd be like, can I come down for just a 5-minute break? But yeah, we shot that over the course of I think like we did like 14, 15-hour days. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you prefer shooting movies like thrillers or horror, or like Princess Diaries, where it's more of like a story kind of movie?
Well, I mean, Scream has a storyline as well. Again, it's the quality of the script. I don't care if it's a Disney film, if it's like a family film. I don't care if it's a comedy, if it's a drama, if it's a thriller, if it's a horror. If good people are working on the project and people that I know are going to elevate me as an artist, and if the character has some depth and dimension and the story is compelling to my heart or my mind, I'm there. So it doesn't matter. I'm an equal opportunity storyteller.
Who else?
Got another one for you.
Yeah.
Are you working on any projects right now?
I have 2 movies that are coming out next month. One is called The Matarazzo Family, and one is called It's Complicated. And then I'm working on a movie right now.
Just to kind of follow up on that and kind of give everyone an idea, I mean, how far out in advance are you working on projects before they get released?
Oh gosh, it depends.
And I know COVID has probably thrown everything off for the last couple of years.
I mean, there are movies that like I've done that come out like 5 years later. Sometimes it's 1 year later. Sometimes it's 6 months. You know, it varies project to project. But I never see any of them, so.
Who else? All right, I see one down front here.
Hey, thanks for coming to Smallville number 10.
Of course.
I was wondering if you could tell us any story behind the scenes on filming the first Scream.
Well, I was, so I was in the third one, and the scene involved me and Nev and David and Courtney, and I just remember that I was so nervous because I was a massive fan of all of them, and I just didn't want to fuck up. And so I did what I think any student does. I kept my mouth shut, and I listened, and I watched, and I learned, and did my best to make Wes feel like he didn't make a massive mistake in hiring me. and luckily, I don't think he did.
Hi, sorry for your answer to this, I just got here.
It's okay.
What's your opinion on Nev not coming back for the sixth Scream movie because of her pay?
I think every single person deserves a living wage, and I think that if you are the star of a franchise that has grossed billions and billions and billions of dollars, you deserve to get paid what you're worth, especially if that movie is bringing in so much money for your company.
There's got to be more questions. All right, I see one here.
Okay. Hypothetically, if you could go back in time and rewrite yourself into any role from any movie, what would you pick?
Oh gosh, I would probably say the American version of the girl with the dragon tattoo, Elizabeth Salander.
Okay. Are there any roles that you turned down that you regret now?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, the Riddler.
Yes. Now, at the time you were filming Scream, did you know who the killers were going to be, or did they keep that a secret until later on?
Oh, that's way above my pay grade. They don't let me know any of that stuff. Which I'm happy. I'm happy because I don't want it spoiled for myself. I want to enjoy it like everyone else.
Do you get to see the full movie script? Do you read through, or do you just see your parts and focus on that?
Well, for the Scream stuff, it's very hush-hush for a lot of reasons. Because people love to spoil things and put things out on the interwebs. And I trust that whatever I need to know, I will know.
Any other questions? All right.
I am new getting here too. I just walked in, but I wondered if you ever made a conscious effort, like to not get typecast, if you will, or how do you decide, like how do you go from Princess Diaries to other things that you've done? And I'm sure everyone here associates you with Scream, but I associate with you in a different way also because of those movies. So if that question makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to take a job because you want to keep your health insurance, and so you grit your teeth and you do what you got to do because, you have a family to provide for and you have bills to pay. And I'm thankful that I have a team around me. My manager is just, she's the bee's knees. And, sometimes I'm not sure about a project and she either assuages my fear and she's like, no, this is a good project for you to do. Like, I consider it. Or she'll say, absolutely not, nope, don't do it. And she hasn't led me astray yet, and so it also is that thing of, I'm very thankful that I have historically been in a position where my beauty isn't the top thing on the list, you know? So I can be 40 years old and still work and not be brought out to pasture and shot in the head. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that I have the oxymoron of character actor, you know, as my calling card. So I'm getting to see that it provides a lot more opportunities for me as an actor than, you know, the typical classic ingenue, if that answers your question. Oh, thanks.
Is there a particular role or part that you did that you feel is overall your best performance in your career?
I know that I don't know that I can answer that question. What I can say is that every role I've done, I've been graced with learning about myself, either something professionally and or personally, and it's very weird. Like, I didn't have home movies growing up. There's no like home movies of me, so my work is those are my home movies. You know? And so I just saw Dollhouse recently, and it's the first time that I could really watch it without cringing. Because I hate watching myself. I detest it, I loathe it. Like when there's a premiere, I will go up to the front, I'll do my thing, I'll say hi, and then I'm going to the bar and I'm getting a drink and I'm waiting for everybody else to come out of the theater. I don't like watching myself. But I'm getting to see that if there's like a 20-year gap or a 25-year gap, then I'm able to. So Dollhouse and Dawn Wiener, there's something that like really touches me about that for a lot of reasons. And I think it's partially because, you know, time changes one's perspective and perception. And so I have a lot of love for that little girl. And I have a lot of love and almost awe at her bravery and the choices that she made. Because you never, like, I wouldn't say that about myself now, today. You know, like, you know what I mean? It's also fucking weird. It's also bizarre. Like, it's enough for just an on-call therapist.
All right. Any more questions? Don't be shy. And if you don't want to ask in public here, you can come by Heather's table. She would be glad to answer your questions. She's
Yeah, only $100 a question.
yeah,
Just kidding.
very reasonable.
Very, very, very reasonable.
All right.
All
How
right.
about we, one last question for you. John and I were talking as we were driving down here.
Yeah.
What is something, life advice, something that you've learned along the way that you want to pass on to people?
Oh gosh. Okay, I'll share this. My wife and I have this lovely couple that have been together for 50 years. Their names are Dawn and Martha. I'm curious if anyone actually calls her Marty. But they talk a great deal about open-hearted listening and receiving practice. And the receiving practice for me has been one of those things that's life-changing. I have moments of incredible anxiety. You know, I mean, just as broadly, there's a million reasons to have anxiety. And historically, it was very difficult for me to receive any kind of positive affirmation and or compliment, which going to these things, it's chock full of nothing but compliments, right? And so my wife and I were sitting with Dawn one day and we're having this session and my wife says to me, "I love you." And I automatically, without even thinking, I'm like, "I love you." And Dawn was like, "Heather, take a second. Take a second. Like, receive the words she just said." And I took a second and I received it, and it completely shifted my perception about everything. Because when I took that second to really let those words come and to settle into my beingness, I felt the love in a different way. And so now, getting to have the opportunities that I do where I get to come to these conventions, and I have people that are so kind that are also telling me, some of them, this personal, intimate experiences of their lives. I'm grateful that I now have that capacity to fully receive and fully be present in that space. So I would say, I guess, to everyone and anyone, I know I haven't been on the planet that long, but I feel I've been on it long enough to recognize that we all desire to be seen, we all desire to be heard, and we all desire to be received. I think that if we just allowed ourselves the grace and the vulnerability to be received, we will then in turn be able to receive others that much more readily.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's give a big Smallville thank you to Heather.
Thank you, guys. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Come back to the main floor. Heather has prints at her table. She's doing some selfie pits, answer questions. She would love to see you all. And before we go, we'll take a selfie with the audience.